Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to talk about 5 pitching tips in 5 minutes that's going to help you eradicate your pitching woes. What we're going to talk about is 5 common issues I see on a regular basis which is also plaguing your golf swing. So today we're doing this in the indoor putting studio here at Glenbervie. If you're looking to improve any aspects of your game over the winter months, please feel free to get in touch. I offer in-person lessons here at Glenbervie and also online lessons via the Skillest coaching platform. In your pitching, the main object is understanding the lie, how the lie controls what club selection that we select out the bag, how we're going to play the shot, and also how we're going to approach each shot. The biggest thing I do see that holds golfers back is reading the lie properly. So it's almost developing your golfing IQ. The lie controls the way we set up to the shot. So whatever club you pull out the golf bag has to match your intention of the lie. If the ball's sitting down, you might opt to take a bit more loft. If the ball's sitting up the rough, you might opt to take less loft because the angle of attack needs to be slightly shallower. If it's sitting down the rough, you might need to be slightly steeper. So you need to take all that into consideration when you're playing any short game shot, because that's going to make the shot a little bit easier. And also the planning and the preparation stage is a big indicator. Error number 1 I see on a regular basis is when people set up to the golf ball. If we were to use the middle of my stance as a baseline target, a lot of golfers will get the ball position too far back in their stance. They'll get the hands a little bit too far ahead, so the ball position gets a little bit too far back and the hands get too far ahead. So if you look at the angle there between the right wrist and also the shaft, if you can see how there's a big disconnection between the club head and my right wrist, from there would just drive the leading edge into the ground. So a lot of golfers just struggle off soft ground, especially here in Scotland where it's an absolute mud bath outside and you're playing off mats, so you get away with it slightly in the winter, but as soon as you go off mats come the start of the golf season, it's really hard to adjust. So don't dig the leading edge into the ground. You can visualize that your right palm on the way back goes too much down towards the ground. So the right palm goes too much down towards the ground. As you can see from there, the club face gets pretty shut. Somebody that generally struggles with lifting the club through impact, if you struggle with thin shots, the loft that we create on the backswing has a big influence on how we release the club. So the backswing just sets us up for the downswing. When you try and get the ball more in the middle of your stance, low shot, a medium shot, a high shot, you're going to visualize how you would set up differently to create a different result. And when you want to hit a lower shot, you're obviously going to take less loft. But when you set up to the golf ball, the ball position might be situated just to the middle of your stance, and as we release the club, we've got a shorter release. That's for a lower shot. If you want to hit a higher shot, we place the golf ball halfway between the middle of our stance and also inside the left heel. And then as we come through, because the ball position's further forward, naturally our angle of attack, so that the angle the club comes into the golf ball in terms of its relationship with the ground, comes in a little bit shallow. We bruise the ground instead of cutting straight into the ground. And if you want to hit the ball a little bit higher, like if you've got a bunker in front of you, you opt to move the ball a little bit further forward in your stance. So naturally the ball position affects our angle of attack, but also affects the amount of loft that we can produce at impact. So the further forward we move the golf ball, the more the club's going to come in a little bit shallower and the more we can release the club. If you get a little bit too steep, just get the ball a little bit further forward. Just feel like you don't hit the ball as hard. A lot of people kind of pull on the handle, so they'll pull the handle forward. If you can look at that angle there between the club head and the grip end of the club, we pull on the handle, there's a big disconnection there. Club face gets pretty short. My right palm goes too much down towards the ground, and as you can see from there, the grooves of the club face point straight down towards the ground. The right wrist, right palm goes straight down towards the ground. Great if you're trying to hit an iron shot, so great if you want to hit a high floaty shot that's going to stop nice and quickly. So visualize from here, you're just going to hit one-handed shots. Instead of the palm pointing down towards the ground, you're going to try and get right palm more towards the sky. That slight adjustment allows the loft to slightly increase. Right palm goes towards the sky, we add lots of loft. If my right palm goes down towards the ground, the loft decreases, and if the loft decreases, we reduce the effective bounce and the leading edge is going to dig into the ground. These clubs are right palm towards the sky on the way back, and then right palm to the sky on the way through. So your backswing and follow through, the release with the right hand has got to match each other. So right palm towards the sky on the way back, right palm towards the sky on the way through. Stage 1, don't get the ball position too far back. Stage 2 is trying to get the right palm more towards the sky to open that club face. As we come through, we'll drag on the hand. Also, if you think about the grip end of the club, we pull on the grip end of the club. Many people who struggle with thins, so if the handle goes too far ahead of your right hip, too much lean in the shaft. Happens from there. We hang our weight back, we release the club really early. But when we release the club really early, we don't engage our upper body to rotate towards the target. If I create too much lean in the shaft, the grip end of this club goes too far away from my right forearm. Grip end of the club to fall back to hit your right forearm. Many people who pull on the grip end of the club get the grip end of the club working too far away for the right forearm. We create too much lean in the shaft, we reduce the bounce, and we also reduce our margin for error. So as we come into the impact position, let the grip end of the club fall back so it hits your forearm. That is a great feeling. It's going to help you slow this process down. Drag the club. You can see I keep that angle on my right wrist, right palm still towards the ground. You release the club, get the grip end of the club to fall back so it hits your forearm. We do this nice and slowly. Feel like the club takes a long time to get to the golf ball. We see a lot of golfers who struggle with timing, pull on the handle, compromise the strike. The grip end of the club falls back to hit your forearm. That's going to let the club head and the grip end of the club arrive at the golf ball at the same time. And it's also going to flatten out this right wrist if I drag too much of the club forward. My right wrist stays too much in extended position. Great if you want to create compression, but when we're hitting a shot like this, we need to utilise a little bit more of the right hand. So it's the visualisation of you're trying to throw a ball to somebody underhand, palm more towards the sky, right forearm more towards the sky. Feel like transition takes a long time, so you're swinging at 50% speed. And as you come back into impact, feel like the club head overtakes the hands. How are we going to achieve that? Grip end of the club has to get closer to your right forearm on the downswing. So that relationship, as you can see from there, there's a continuous gap. That gap has to close. End of the club going towards your right forearm. That's going to enable me to get my right palm more towards the sky, and it's also going to utilise a little bit more of the bounce. We allow the right palm to face the sky on the way back. Then as we come through into impact, we're going to let the grip end of the club fall back in the region of your right hip, and it also falls back and the grip end of the club hits your right forearm. That's another good analogy. What you'll feel like you're doing from here is you're releasing the club a little bit earlier, but as long as you start to rotate your upper body and get your left shoulder up and back through impact, that's going to help you utilise a little bit more of the bounce. You release the club, all I want you to feel like you're doing from here is try and get your chest more towards the target. Try and get your left shoulder up and back. And if you're still struggling with that feeling, I want you to just feel like your eyes, so your eye alignment, many people who struggle with pitching get their head falling back the way and tilting their eye alignment too much to the right. As you can see from there, that closes my shoulders. Great if you're hitting driver and also your irons. But we want to feel like our eyesight traces to the left of the target as we release the club. Another great feeling would be visualise David Duval and Annika Sorenstam. Eye alignment, left of target, weight left, take the club back, right palm to the sky. As we release the club, get the grip end of the club to point back towards your right hip and also the forearm. That's going to allow us to release the club. Piece of this puzzle, try and get left ear out of the way. That's going to automatically get your eye alignment to point slightly left of target, which is instantly going to allow your chest to open up and also get your left shoulder to work up and back, which is the feeling that's going to allow you to utilise a little bit more of the bounce. So people get to this position, the chest still faces the ground. So as we release the club, get your chest, instead of facing the ground, you want to feel like chest faces the sky. How do we do that? Get your head a little bit to the left. The feeling would be left ear out the way, chest to the target, left shoulder out the way, and also getting that right palm to face the sky. Simple drill, grip halfway down so you're touching the club head nearly. Put the club quite close to your left hip. If I come into impact, the feeling from here is I'm going to try and get my chest to rotate towards the target, and the club works around with my left hip. Where I stall my body from turning, as you can see from there, upper body tilts back, my weight's on my right side. To create the space, we have to get chest and left shoulder out of the way. Hold on, chest out of the way, hands relatively close to your left hip. Having to create the space so the grip end of the club works out of the way by getting our chest and left shoulder towards the target. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Please comment below with your thoughts regarding this video. Post your comments below with anything you'd like to see on my channel in future weeks, which is going to be tailored to your practice. If not, have a great Christmas and a great New Year.